I now recognize Catherine Marr for her opening statement.
Chairwoman Greene, Ranking Member Lynch, and distinguished members of the subcommittee. My name is Catherine Marr, and I'm the President and CEO of National Public Radio, and I welcome the opportunity to discuss the essential role of public media in delivering unbiased, nonpartisan, fact-based reporting to Americans. Americans listen to public radio as they commute, as they work, and in the kitchen as they cook with family. Nearly 100% of Americans live within range of a public radio station. We cover what matters to local communities, crop prices, cook-offs, and local sports teams, alongside news of the nation and the world, from the halls of Congress to coverage of our troops overseas. Today, Americans have more media choices than ever. The rise of podcasting has established a competitive free market for audio news and information. And every day, I am honored to know that we have 43 million listeners from every state in the nation. Amidst this competition, local stations choose to become members of NPR for the value we provide. For example, we are the only non-paywalled news outlet with a dedicated reporter covering veterans issues. While NPR is only 25% of station programming on average, audiences for NPR bring the scale and revenue that subsidize essential local programming. Local public media journalism has never been more important to American families, who consider it part of the fabric of their communities. It correlates with higher rates of civic engagement, greater civic cohesion, and economic advantages, such as better municipal bond ratings. Recent independent polling found that more than 60% of all Americans and more than half of Republicans trust public broadcasting to deliver fact-based news. I understand the subcommittee has questions about funding for NPR and public radio. The vast majority of federal dollars, more than $100 million of the $121 million annual appropriation for public radio, goes directly to 386 local, non-commercial stations across the nation. This highly efficient investment enables your local stations to raise an average of $7 for every federal dollar. As a grantee of the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, NPR received federal funding of $11.2 million last year. These funds allow us to maintain the National Public Radio satellite system, helping safeguard our national security, civil defense, and disaster response, and enabling public radio to reach every corner of America. Additionally, these funds help protect journalists covering our troops overseas and reverse the decline of local journalism. As a recipient of federal funds, it is our responsibility to answer legitimate questions about why public funds should go to NPR, whether we are truly committed to serving all Americans, and whether the institution is an effective steward of taxpayer dollars. I hear, respect, and understand your concerns regarding bias and whether public media is relevant in a commercial landscape, and I'd like to spend a minute sharing with you my actions to address your concerns. First, it is critical for NPR's newsroom to operate with the highest journalistic standards. That means that they do their jobs independently, and as CEO, I have no editorial role at NPR. In other words, I do not decide what we cover or how we cover it. I lead NPR's strategy, ensuring we have resources and policies in place to serve all Americans, not just those with a specific point of view. I was brought into NPR to revive and reorient the organization and bring public media to a wider audience, a new generation, and new platforms. We have a responsibility to serve Americans across the full political spectrum in a trustworthy, nonpartisan fashion. It is essential that we deliver on this commitment, and we have work to do, and we are doing it. In May, we launched an initiative to improve our editorial review processes to make sure all pieces are fair and comprehensive. We hired new editors and analysts to ensure we're giving fair airtime to different voices and issues. We started regular meetings with our nearly 200 local newsrooms so we can plan together for the needs of their audiences. And the early results are positive. Our digital platforms, where we have the best data about our listeners, the political beliefs of our visitors mirror the makeup of the country across the ideological spectrum, and we're seeing growth in readers and listeners. I joined NPR because I believe that our strong and dynamic nation deserves great public media for all. Americans are smart and curious, and they want us to cover issues that matter, from the price of eggs to national security. It's our job to deliver truthful facts and information so citizens can make up their own minds. I believe Americans voted for a transformative administration, and it is our responsibility to cover that transformation fairly, with integrity and tenacity. I have been CEO for 1 year and 1 day. I have made changes to leadership and planning, invested in editorial integrity, committed to expanding our audiences and our relevance for all Americans. While we have taken significant steps in the right direction, the journey can't be completed overnight. Given the support that 75% of Americans have for public media, I ask Congress to give us the opportunity to continue to serve the American public. I will invite you to listen with a fresh ear, and to that end, our newsroom invites you to join us on air, and I welcome your questions.
Thank you, Ms. Marr.